Hey, what's up? Zach here, and today I've got the Rigorer AR3, and thanks to Kickzone for sending me a pair of these. Check out. If you want to check out a pair for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below. I do believe there is a discount code. I can't believe we're on the third version of, I can't believe we're on the third version of this shoe, but here we are. I will say in terms of fit, these are a little bit different than the AR1 and the AR2, which probably a good thing. Getting into the uppers though, just on first glance, doesn't this look like the White Ranger from the original Power Rangers? That's the first thing I noticed of these. Maybe I'm just a 90s kid, but that's the first thing that I saw. The one thing I like about these ones that I honestly have not been seeing in a lot of shoes recently is just open mesh uppers. And you look at the forefoot of them, it's textile and a TPU weave. It does breathe all the way through the shoe. There is 2 layers of this, but both of them are netted. So you look at the breathability test, yeah, fog's getting out of the forefoot, it's getting out of the tongues. There's holes that go straight through the tongue. The tongue itself is padded nicely. It does have a nice little break point here in the anterior ankle. I really like that, just moves a little bit better. Lockdown on these two, not bad at all. Mild heel slippage. There is no runner's knot. That's the one thing I would like to have seen there. But other than that, I mean, the tongue it's really wide. So it's almost like the Way of Wade 12 we just saw with the crazy cool gusset on the tongue. This one has a high gusset, but the tongue is just nice and wide. So when you get the laces locked down enough, the tongue just envelops you, which is really, really nice. The thing is, aside from that, it's basically just stitching, paneling, a little bit of rubber reinforcement here on the last lace eyelet, some paneled reinforcement on the rest of the lace eye, and then some outrigger lace eyelets in the forefoot, and a little bit of plastic reinforcement here, which we'll talk about once we get into the midsole. But the uppers, honestly, it's pretty basic. Nothing crazy in terms of padding in the rear foot. Honestly, pretty bland, but it's effective and it breathes very well. Like I said, something we just have not been seeing in this stage of, I'd say like 2025, 2026, we're not seeing breathable shoes. And it's nice to see at least one of them out there. All right, beginning into the midsole teardown of the AR3, some really interesting things to look at in terms of midsole chemistry. Now, Rigorer says this is a ETPU and nylon supercritical foam. Now, if that is the case, that means it's a combined foam, it's a blend. And that would mean some pretty incredible durability as well as bounce. Now, look at this thing on the bounce height test. Yeah, it's 43 centimeters in the rear foot, 43 in the forefoot. So that's, that's good. It's not the greatest I've ever seen in the world, but it's really good. And then you got a bottom loaded molded shank that goes for almost, it's like 3/4 length that goes all the way into the forefoot there, kind of has a break point. And then, it meets back up here in the forefoot. Now, these shoes do bend appropriately. Like they got a nice bend in the forefoot there, and then once the snap back, that's that hollow spot in the shank. Then there's still 2 like leaflets of the shank here. So, you still have that snap, which is nice. And torsional stability, I mean, we'll talk about it in the fit section, why it's not as torsionally stable in the forefoot as it could be, but I mean, it's okay. The midfoot's fine, the forefoot's a little bit more wobbly than the rear foot. But I gotta say, in their marketing materials, it's 70% bouncer, it's this and that, it bouncier, this, that, and the other thing. And I mean, compared to, you gotta see what it's actually compared to, because these companies are just evolving their foams, it seems weekly. And so although it's a higher bouncing foam, and that is nice, I think depending on the ratios and everything in that chemistry, that nylon component is gonna give it more durability. So maybe some other shoes have more bounce initially, but do these have more bounce for longer? We'll see as the months go on and more people start wearing these, but I do think that that's an interesting combination. Now on the tensiometer, it takes 61 newtons to get to 45 degrees. I like that. Like I said, same thing with the bending here. I mean, it's, like you said, you see it wants to snap back, but it does allow enough bending. So I like something in that high 50s range. That's kind of where I think is kind of the best of both worlds. This one's a little bit stiffer, but obviously this is gonna break in, of course. And just different people like different things for sure. Just because I like a tension, right? Just because I like a bending point, less than others doesn't mean I'm right versus you're wrong for liking it. Just personal preference. And I said I'd get to this TPU bar here in the midsole section. I'm gonna wait until the fit, because I think once I was doing the torsional rigidity stuff, I do wanna talk about this more in the fit section, so we'll talk about this more in a few minutes. All right, getting into the outsole tread of the AR3. In the rear foot, you've got real chunky herringbones. It's like broken up with some basically like Star Trek symbols or like Star Command type patterns. And that is a whole big triangle that kind of invaginates the forefoot. This is kind of the male, to the female end here. And it's got a little more serrated herringbone here than smooth herringbone in the forefoot. So it's a nice, it's a nice breakup of herringbone. It's different. And then, like I said, it is full length. Now this thing on the grip test ramp, it slips at 33 degrees, which is pretty just middle of the road. It does have a 17.5 durometer. And if you look at this thing on the outsole durability test, 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's more than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, it's not a millimeter damage, maybe a millimeter damage on this. The thing is though, is that the tread is really wide and chunky. So I actually do think you can take these outside, especially with the nice breathability, especially with the protection in the midsole. So I think if you don't produce a ton of friction, you know, you'll have a little more smooth gait, a little more smooth game, smooth footwork. I think you'd be okay, just because, like I said, the traction's a little bit wider. Obviously, they're meant for indoor courts, you know, but I think, like I said, you could take them outside, but I was a little surprised at the Dremel doing that much damage. All right, getting into the fit of the AR3, this is where things start to get a little bit weird and wild. Number one, they do have a 29 centimeter length, and these ones, you really do feel that length. They do feel long. And they have 9.6 centimeters actually at metatarsal width, which is really nice. And then 9.5 toe box width. A toe box taper, pretty standard, 34 degrees. That's the way I'm doing it now with my last. That is pretty typical. And then an in-flare though, only 7 degrees. That was really nice and mellow. These are the most mellow AR shoes we've seen from the AR1, AR2, now AR3. This is definitely the most forgiving. When I put these on, I was, you know, I put them on, I don't do the measurements, I put them on, then I take them off, then I do the measurements. And when I put these on the first time, I was like, whoa, like, this is nice. The problem with that am I feeling these a little bit wider because they're longer? You know, and so I just have a little bit more room up there in the toe box just because they're a little bit longer. That might be it. The other thing I noticed is because they're longer, the lateral flange kind of hits a little bit further up than some other shoes. So first of all, in terms of fit, I would say narrow and medium foot. I'd say a narrow foot, if you can stomach going down a half size and breaking them in, you're gonna do way better in these. A medium foot, if you can go down a half size, you can break them in, you're gonna do much better. A 2E, I think just go true to size. A 4E, I'd go up a half size. I mean, it just might be a mismatch for you because of the length issue. They fit pretty, like I said, they just fit pretty medium, pretty middle of the road. It's just long, right? Like that's the issue with these things. It's the length. So yeah, in terms of, you know, lumps, bumps, bruises, ailments, in terms of heel pain, arch pain, ball of foot pain, they're great. The drop isn't crazy, but it's enough, right, that it's not, you know, one versus the other. Like, it's not just gonna ruin your knee or ruin your Achilles. It's fine. The molded shank, that composite shank there is really nice and strong. So that's all good. They fit orthotics just fine. So, I mean, put an orthotic in here, it's gonna fit perfectly. No problems whatsoever on that front. I would just say in terms of ankle sprainers, when I saw the flange, when I took it out of the box, I'm like, oh, this is great. It's long, broad, it's made of real strong outsole rubber. It's reinforced with this TPU bar like I kept talking about. And I said, this is gonna be fantastic. But when I got them on, it just hits really far up in the foot. So I could still kind of twist, do it on this side. I could still kind of twist through the mid part of the shoe. And even though, like I said, you know, that's not bad. It's just when I come down, I could still, you know, like doing this action, I could still feel my foot could kind of move a little bit. So I think if you are a narrow or medium foot, I think they're fine for ankle sprainers. You can go down a half size and get the length reduction and it'll line up with you. But if you allow these to go too long, that's where I could see these having a little bit of issue kind of right where the rubber meets the foam here. So that was the only issue I could see in these. All in all, to me, this is my favorite shoe in this line, just because of the shape, right? Just because of the fit. I do like the AR1 in terms of just overall shoe the best in terms of line. Just, I think, you know, if you're the right foot type for those, I think those are still the best of the bunch. To me, like for my foot, I would want to wear these the most just because I fit into these better. But in terms of the entire line, I thought that the ones were still a better shoe. Like I said, just kind of depends on if you can fit into them well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to see what I'm talking about with the Wade 12 and how crazy cool that tongue was and the gusset is on that and all the crazy fun stuff that shoe has to offer, make sure you click into this video right here and subscribe down below. I'll see you in the next video.